Hello! Welcome to my channel. I'll be doing a deck profile on not the red Jiren, but the yellow one from almost 10 sets ago. Isn't that crazy? He's released in BT9, we're at BT17 just released at the time of recording. So 2 sets until you're 10 sets old Jiren. Madness. This leader is so strong, by the way. I don't think this is a tier 1, tier S deck. I don't believe we're going to be seeing this deck suddenly win the PPGs and the World Championships. But I do think this format, especially if you're looking for a budget-friendly deck that can win your locals, really push some of the Trunks Vegeta players, the Cell players, this deck can really challenge those tier 1 decks and really give them a really tough time. This obviously isn't the best deck of the format. I'm not going to make that claim, but it's very solid. And why do I think that? Well, I've been testing this quite a lot and I've been getting a lot of positive results against a lot of strong decks, and you'll see why when I get into the profile. So I'll read the leader for you in case you haven't seen this leader, because it's been out quite a while now. So you can choose one card in your life and add it to your hand. When this card attacks, you get to draw one card and he gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. That's pretty strong. The fact that you get 2 cards in your hand and you don't have to combo to be able to pretty much guarantee you're going to hit your opponent in the early game, because it's unlikely your opponent will want to combo unless that's part of their deck strategy, but the majority of the time your opponent will just take the hit rather than losing card advantage, because you just drawn 2 and they don't want to lose 1 to avoid being hit. But you don't need to gain that plus 5,000 or draw a card, because a lot of the time you will want to actually choose the second option of playing a Universe 11 card in your hand with an energy cost of 2 or less and play it. And this deck has some really powerful Universe 11 cards with an energy cost of 2 or less. With the release of the anniversary box 2022 or 2021, I can't remember whether it's the newest anniversary box, and the Realm of the Gods set, this card got some really solid support. Flipping it around, and this is what makes the deck even stronger, is just the fact that you can hold your opponent out for a long time. So when this card attacks, draw one card and then he gains plus 5,000 power for the turn. So when you attack, you're already attacking with 1 combo power. You cannot play the Universe 2s unfortunately, but I do think that would make this deck unbeatable. I think this would, if it had that effect, I don't think this would ever, I think this deck would probably have been banned if it had both effects on both sides. But it has something in some ways a lot better. The activate battle on this is truly broken in a lot of matchups, because you can choose one card in your life, add it to your hand until the start of your next main phase. As long as you have a Universe 11 card in play, you don't have to take damage from your opponent's attacks, or you don't take damage from your opponent's attacks. That is super powerful, because on your opponent's turn, it's an activate battle, in case you didn't get it. If it was an activate main, garbage. Activate battle, the fact that your opponent can't just go buck wild, hyper aggro and take all your life is so strong. And the fact you pretty much get 2 turns, unless your opponent's playing a burn deck or it has the Vegeta, SS3 Vegito, or Unbridled Power, which unfortunately is this deck's biggest weakness, is just that card in general. It's just so powerful. But obviously, unfortunately, U7 Goku kind of hurts this deck. But moving forward, the fact that your opponent, as long as you have Universe 11 card in play, your opponent can't hurt you. And a lot of decks, they take a while to get that how would you say, that board wipe. And so, and on top of that, it's a yellow deck, so you've got plenty of ways to stop your opponent from doing damage to you. So even so, we are playing these 3 cards to start off. 3 stable cards. You'll see these in all yellow decks going forward. Realm of the Gods Black Kamehameha. It's fantastic for getting great advantage in the fact that you can rest 2 of your opponent's battle cards, and you get to draw on your opponent's turn if you were to play it. But if it's your turn, you can choose up one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO it. That's okay. You're probably not going to be playing this on your turn, but on your opponent's turn, it's a very, very solid card. Final Flash. This card's going to be probably what you use to win the game. If all your energy is yellow when you activate this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier and negate its skills for the turn. So you can choose their blocker or something that's kind of just hassling you, like the Lord's Luck, Super Namekian if you want a super combo. Very strong. And then Release from Evil. This is going to be coming up against those dastardly unisons with their dual attack and their triple strikes and so on. The Golden Frieza has that if you're not following. But yeah, Release from Evil is going to be what gets you past that horrible Golden Frieza unison. And you know, there's quite a few others. Moving forward, we've got Cocoa Zone, Swift Retaliation Cooler, Forbidden Power, and the Power of Super Saiyan. There's not a huge amount that needs to be said about any of these cards. Cocoa Zone is great for this deck in particular because you get to negate attack and put one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode, which anything that helps get Poutine out and, you know, essentially deals with 2 attacks. If your opponent does their leader swing and they have 1 battle card, however many, you can switch to rest mode, so you avoid 2 attacks. It's really solid, and also you can just charge it, or once it's in the drop area, it helps get the Mecha Frieza robotic repost spoils later. Swift Retaliation Cooler, you're going to be using it when you want to close out the game, you want to stop that counter play, counter attack, anything that's whatever counter is going to stop you, because you can negate and then you get to draw. He provides so much advantage. He's honestly one of the best cards Yellow has. Forbidden Power. Yeah, this card you can cut, but I kind of feel like with the fact that if your opponent does board wipe you, your leader is quite vulnerable, so at least with this card, it's kind of how would you say, just a backup plan in case things go wrong. At least you can stop your opponent and from going hyper aggro if they board wipe you, and you can just put them down to 2 swings on their turn. But like obviously this card can be caught because like Green Cooler and that will just keep attacking with unisons rather than dealing with battle cards. So I just play 1 just as a backup plan. I'd probably side out in quite a few matchups, especially with the new decks. And Power of the Super Saiyan, probably the best card, and a card that would absolutely need to be limited by this format, because this can really mess with all the new strategies, putting the unisons in rest mode. The new Gohan that goes in a lot of yellow decks now. The Empower Gohan card. This pulling it to rest mode really hurts their plan. There's not much I need to say about Power Super Saiyan because it's been around a while. There's a reason it got limited pretty quickly. Moving on to the Universe 11 engine. So we're playing 2 Voon, 3 Kunchi, 4 Kazrael, 3 Jiren Pride of Universe 11. Voon is just a blocker, but you can bring him out. You can search him with the Kazrael. He's a 1-drop, so you can bring him back with the Jiren Pride of Universe 11. Kunchi has barrier, and he gives everything barrier, including himself. Well, every Universe 11 card with a cost of 2 or less that's in your battle area. They get barrier, and it makes Cell players cry. Because they can't do a lot of their stuff if they can't pop the cards on your side of the field. So it's very strong. That's why I think this deck is great, this format. Kazrael is a searcher, but he's got the hidden effect, especially with the Vegeta unison Fury, that can switch into rest mode, and that allows you to switch one of your opponent's battle cards to rest mode. That has a cost of 4 less. So it's a little nice hidden effect if you just so happen to have the Vegeta on board. And then Jiren Pride of Universe 11. I'm playing 3 of these because I want to bring these boys back. So what's great is that I can play these boys, swing my leader. If my opponent has 2 sensu beans on his leader, or just has a card I want to remove that has 25k, he'll go up to 20k with his swing, and then I can combo with the Kunchi and the Vaughn, and then just discard this boy and bring back the Kunchi and the Voon. So essentially it just allows you to get, in some ways, for the price of 1, 2 combo cards. So in a way, it's kind of like, I kind of use it as a super combo, or a bit of a super combo, or mini super combo in some ways, as why he's so great. But obviously you need those cards on the field to combo them away. More Universe 11s coming up. The Binary Blade. Swift Retaliation Dyspo. The Boss Monster himself. The person it searches. So here is Binary Blade. We're probably going to be playing this only ever off of the leader's front side ability. When you swing, you can play him, then he will play out your either your, well, any of these boys. He'll probably play out your Kunchi or your Boon depending on what you need, because it plays with the skill negated. But he's pretty strong just to be able to be another Universe 11 on field and special summon out one of the most needed cards. I only play one Dyspo. He's not particularly great and I don't think he's absolutely needed. You could come off the deck, but on your opponent's turn, what's so strong about him is if your opponent board wipes you and he's just looking at you like, haha, I'm gonna go hyper aggro, you can use his activate battle to bring himself out. Then he plays himself and suddenly Jiren has his ability back. So for that reason is why I think I would probably I'd play one just in case. I'm playing a guy who has a board wipe I didn't realize that deck played, and I'd probably keep one on the side in case they side in. If they're playing, I'm playing a green player, I'd probably or someone who has the Spring Clive times. Or what's Spring Clive? Anyway, I'd probably play him. Yeah, for anyone who has board wipe, ignore barrier type cards, like the U7 Goku, he's great against and stuff like that. God of Destruction Skillbreaker Toppo has made this deck so strong, because this guy can either give himself plus 10,000 power and double strike, and he already has critical, so a 30k double strike to your opponent could close out the game. Or if your opponent's on 3 life, you know, that's probably going to reduce him to 1 life if it goes through. But a lot of the time, I don't even use that. It's very few times because I'd much rather get this Unison out because he can either choose that or bring Vegeta Unison and Fury out with 3 markers on it. And then he can put him into rest mode. He will reactivate himself. So he re-stands when he's put into rest mode by your own battle or your own card effects, which you're going to do with the Vegeta Unison Fury. You switch into rest mode, he goes back to active mode, and not only that, will he get a free marker? Not only will he get a free marker and be set up to do his -3 the moment he's brought out, but he got a Destruction Toppo Skillbreaker, negates all of the skills on your opponent's board side. Then choose all your opponent's battle cards and negate their skills. So that gets rid of barrier, blocker, so much stuff your opponent uses to protect itself. Toppo just deals with it. It's so strong, and he's got deflect. Also, if your opponent were to do a dormant on you, you can use your -3 on him and do your 2 attacks. Like if you were to -3 and double strike with him and he responds with dormant, you don't need to attack with him. You can leave him standing because he has blocker. Unfortunately, he has no barrier. But I'm not playing this in my deck. But if you really wanted to, you could tap 1 and put this dude on top of him because it just says place 3 cards from the top of your deck in the drop area. Toppo with energy cost of 4 or more. It doesn't say a black Toppo. It doesn't say any other Toppo. It just says a cost of 4 or more. So I'm not playing him just because, you know, there's a lot of different ways to go. He's never really come up. But if you wanted to, you could tap 1 and give him barrier. But that's just a little side note. I'm not running that card, but I'm still trying to see if it works. And then we move on to the final Universe 11 card and some of the other cards you can see. So this card came in Realm of the Gods. It's so busted. It's essentially a easier way of getting poutine out, but it has kind of one fatal drawback. So Margarita, Angel of Universe 11. We've seen the Pride of Universe 11 in Jiren, and now we got the Angel. She is pretty much poutine in this deck, except you play her off this guy's first attack. When you draw your opening hand, you want to see her, because just the fact that on turn 1 you can bring out your own poutine, your in-deck archetype poutine, a Universe 11 poutine, who's costs 2 or less, and then when your opponent plays a card, Margarita will put that to rest mode and poutine will come out, making your opponent have to switch 2 battle cards to rest mode. It's so strong. You know, from future turns, the fact that, but obviously when poutine comes out, if they try and play another card off a skill, that goes to rest mode unless it has barrier. But for the rest of the game, you can keep choosing 2 battle cards, switching them to rest mode. So it's so strong and so good. I played at 2. I played this at 4 because you need to see it in your opening hand. I played this at 2 because if they remove the poutine, you really want to see the poutine, because as I say, it generates so much advantage, especially in a format where there's a lot of spamming of battle cards. You know, AOD, U7 Goku. You know, you see big boards. Cell makes the big boards. Cell really doesn't like this deck. We got Steel-Faced Assistance, Son Goku. Just a great counterplay. Tap 1, play this dude. Your opponent goes to rest mode, or the card being played, and you get to draw a card, and you'll draw a card and get a blocker. You know, everyone knows this is one of the best yellow staples. And then Robotic Repost, again, super broken. Why not play it at 3? Just kind of end your opponent's turn most of the time. Then we've got 1 Frieza and 2 Krillins once before comeback and things. So this is a very unusual lineup of super combos, but I'll talk about the Frieza first. This is a boss monster. It's so good. Turn 5, you're probably going to want to just play this guy because your opponents, or because your leaders activate battle. You can afford to tap out from time to time, and even at that you get a blocker. In fact that if your leader card is yellow when this card is played, choose all your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO them. So if they try to play through the Robotic Repost, they'll have a lot of cards in rest mode, but it's yellow, so you can put all your opponent's cards to rest mode before you play him. And then when your opponent activates a counterattack, choose 2 of their cards, switch them to rest mode, and they can't be switched to active mode until the start of your opponent's next turn. So he's very strong. He punishes your opponent for using any counterattacks, freeze chill arm, yada yada yada. And if you play this deck correctly, if they were to use something like homicidal clones on you, the token would be played in rest mode most of the time. So this deck is super strong, and it's super hard to play around. The super combo lineup is a bit strange. I'll do kind of some explanation. Obviously, Krillin moments before comeback is a staple for all yellow leaders. Just draw 2, pull 1 back, fixes your hand, super combo. Speaks for itself. Skill Steal Chile. There is some skillless decks in this format. It's not really why I use it, but if it's your turn, choose up to one of your opponent's skillless battle cards and KO. That's not why we're playing it, but it might come up. The reason we do play it is on our opponent's leader cards or unison cards can be switched to rest mode on. So all of those in power, really hard to deal with unisons, can be switched to rest mode. And that's why I play her, essentially just to deal with all those annoying things. But you can also switch the leader card to rest mode and stop them from getting any kind of huge advantage based off of their leader swing. If they have like 2 cards in hand and need to attack to be able to, you know, draw the extra card or whatever. Yeah, it's super strong. And then we've got Key Bomb support Coco. It becomes live when you have 5 life, so it's pretty handy if you don't want to awaken on your opponent's turn. And also it's Universe 11, so you can you can play it and have Universe 11. You can search and add it to hand off to Kaz Royale. So that's the super combos, and Frieza Divine Transformation. That's one of the big boss monsters that goes with the Toppo Skill Breaker. And here's the final big boys. We've got Basil. We got Bergamo. It's not just Uni 11, we got a bit of Uni 9's representation. We've got the new Man on a Mission. Well, he's not new, he's been out a while, but he replaced the Bardock fighting against Fate. Just essentially a like-for-like replacement. Bergamo obviously can't set this guy out if Bergamo goes off. Oh jeez man, it really wrecks your opponent's turn, and then because it's 2 cards, your opponent, you get to switch to your opponent's rest mode. It really does go a long way in setting up the Basil. And then you knew it was coming. It's the Cell, Unspeakable Abomination. This card obviously needed to be errated, but you in this deck you won't be playing him out till at least turn 5 anyway, just to get the board presence going. And because of the leader's activate battle, he gives you plenty of time to try and get this dude out. So he comes out all the time, he wins the game. Very rarely does this result in anything but a big W. He's so powerful, we all know. He's been around a while. He came out with this leader. So yeah, that's my deck profile. I think it's super strong. It's not going to win you, your PPGs and stuff, but I do solidly believe it's a budget deck. This is the most expensive card in the deck, I think. Only costs about 30 quid now, thanks to Mythic Booster. So if you want to jump into the game, you want a solid deck that can take the likes of Cell and AOD and other decks to their very limit and really push yourself. And it's a really fun deck. Overall, it's beginner friendly. I think it's pretty easy to pick up and learn, and it's quite old and cheap. So yeah, you can make adjustments as well to the strategy as well. There's so many different ways you can play this deck. I think it's super strong, and yeah, that's all I have to really say about it. And I hope you have an awesome day, and goodbye.